Welcome to Paranormal, where the shadows whisper and true stories blur the line between reality and nightmare. Every encounter shared here is real and far more disturbing than fiction. Dare to listen?
The uploader begins by setting the scene. A house that should have felt like a sanctuary. A quiet place to rest and live without interruption. In 2021, the narrator moved into a family member's home, a place that seemed almost too perfect. The family member was rarely around, either spending long hours at the firehouse or staying with their partner, leaving the narrator mostly alone. For a while, life in the house was calm. The quiet felt safe, almost comforting. But as anyone who has encountered the unexplained knows, peace can be deceptive. That stillness was only the surface of something far more unsettling. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. The first night, the narrator slept in ease, lulled by the comforting emptiness of the house. But then, in the dead of night, something broke through that silence. A door slammed, not softly, not gently. It was violent, abrupt, and loud enough to echo through every corner of the house. The narrator shot upright in bed, heart hammering, the sound still reverberating in their ears. In a panic, they reached for a weapon, unsure what they were bracing for. With trembling hands, the narrator called their mother, placing her on speakerphone while cautiously moving through the house. Room by room, closet by closet, they searched. Every corner was empty, every window locked. No one, absolutely no one was there. For a fleeting moment, the narrator wondered if it had all been a dream, a figment of imagination. But the memory of that slam was too sharp, too real. And then it happened again. Night after night, the door slammed with the same brutal force, awakening the narrator each time. The house, once a quiet refuge, had become a place of anxiety and tension. The narrator wasn't alone in this realization. One night, when their mother came to stay over, the same experience repeated. Sleeping in a separate room, she awoke at the sound, just as the narrator did. The next morning, both acknowledged, in silence, that what they had heard was real. This confirmation removed any lingering doubt. The disturbances weren't imagined. Weeks turned into months, and the activity intensified. The narrator began to notice patterns, strange occurrences that were impossible to explain. One evening, after returning from a friend's house, the narrator was adjusting the blinds in their room. Suddenly, a voice whispered their name. Close, distinct, chillingly near, as if someone had leaned in just to breathe in their ear. The hair on their arms stood on end. Their body froze. Almost immediately, the house responded. Aurora lights flickered on, bathing the room in an unnatural glow. The Bluetooth speaker across the room unexpectedly connected and began emitting garbled sounds, broken syllables, distorted voices, as if someone or something was trying to communicate through it. The narrator remained frozen, trapped between fear and disbelief, the whisper of their names still lingering in their mind. The phenomena didn't remain limited to sounds or electronics. One evening, while preparing a meal in the kitchen, the narrator caught movement in the corner of their eye. Turning, they saw a man. Short, black hair, plain white t-shirt, blue jeans. His appearance was unmistakably dated, as if he had stepped out of the 1970s. The figure was clear, solid, unmistakable, not a shadow, not a trick of the light. And then, just as suddenly, he vanished. Shaken, the narrator immediately called their mother. Describing the man in detail, they waited anxiously. When the line finally spoke, their mother's voice was heavy with realization. "That's my dad," she said softly. "That's how he always dressed." The revelation stunned the narrator. The man's father had passed long ago, yet the figure matched him perfectly, down to the clothing he always wore. From that moment, the house felt permanently altered. What had been mere noise and fleeting shadows had become a presence, a lingering, undeniable weight that could not be ignored. Doors continued to slam, random noises echoed from empty rooms. Even the family dog, usually calm and indifferent, began barking at corners of the house, tracking movements unseen by human eyes. Nights grew heavier with the sensation of being watched, of a presence just out of reach, ever near, observing silently. The narrator's experience raises questions that linger long after the immediate fear fades. What exactly had manifested in the house? Was it a memory of the father, a spirit tethered to the home, or something tied to the land itself? Every night, the presence reminded the narrator that the ordinary world they had expected was only a thin veneer, easily broken by forces beyond understanding. Analyzing this experience, a few patterns emerge. First, the occurrences often escalated with proximity to the narrator. They became more intense and personal. The auditory events began with doors slamming, moved to whispered names, and eventually manifested visually with the figure of the father. This progression suggests a conscious awareness in whatever was present, a spirit or entity reacting to the narrator's attention and environment.
Second, the technology in the house. Lights, Bluetooth speakers acted in ways that were impossible to dismiss as coincidental. When electronics react in patterns synchronized with human presence, it introduces an element of intent that cannot be ignored. These incidents hint at an intelligence or awareness beyond natural explanation. Finally, there is the profound emotional resonance of seeing the father. Unlike the disembodied sounds, the figure of the man evoked personal history, grief, and memory. The house had become a bridge, a liminal space where the past intruded into the present and where the narrator was forced to confront the weight of familial legacy and unseen forces. For the uploader, this story exemplifies the intersection of fear, memory, and the unknown. It reminds viewers that not all hauntings are malevolent. Sometimes they are tied to love, loss, or the echoes of lives once lived. But it also warns that the presence of such entities cannot be ignored. They have power over perception, over sleep, over the sense of safety in one's own home. The narrator continues to live in the house, aware of the constant presence. Sleep is cautious. Every sound is measured, every movement watched. And yet, life continues, carried on alongside the knowledge that some things are beyond comprehension, beyond control. The house is no longer just a shelter. It is a witness, a participant, a reminder that the world has layers invisible to the ordinary eye. For anyone listening to this story, the lesson is clear. Sometimes the unexplained is real. Doors can slam without wind, voices can whisper from nowhere, and figures can appear as if time itself bends to reveal what was lost. The narrator leaves viewers with a challenge. Consider what you would do if faced with such a presence. Would you flee, fight, or simply bear witness? If this story resonated, unsettled, or intrigued you, the uploader encourages you to engage. Like the video, share it with those who appreciate the mysteries of the unknown, and subscribe for more experiences that explore the thin veil between the ordinary and the extraordinary. And don't forget, sometimes the quietest house hides the loudest secrets.